Join us, the LPC, this year. Visit us at www.dominicanidaho.org. Visit us at online store at stdominicstore.com. Thank you, and see you in the video. Welcome to a Dominican Moment. Join us for the third Saturday of the month. Join us for the LPC coming up for the 2025 Late Provincial Council. For this 2025 at the Verbarosa Spa in San Jose, California. Join us for this video. Thank you.
Everyone's buying books from the store, be happy. Okay, we'll get another hour. Okay, just to recap from where we're at in business, we covered particular directory and its status, and to discuss one of the chapters, Green Valley. What I'd like to do is just, the particular directory, in the order of things, it has been approved by a vote of 26, out of 26, 19 approved and 7 said no. So it did provide and it was referred back to the LPC for consideration. Please, Randy. So the status of that is it comes back to us to consider the late provincial council, I'm sorry, the particular directory as proposed and passed by the chapters last March 1st. Is the day of So the question before the LPC is whether to approve the PD as proposed and approved by the chapter. Now, I sent a cover letter on how to deal with some of this because we got some excellent feedback, which is appropriate. I mean, the last PD, is my understanding from those who put it together, went through a review process and chapter developed, still needed to. But in reality, it took a lot of work. And we're dealing with the same thing here. So the motion should be made, which then puts in order, and this after a second, amend motions with regard to the particular directory. And this is just all procedure. So the second thing is we have to authorize an extension of the particular directory commission if as necessary for another year. Because the LPC can only authorize committees for 1 year period, because the next committee has to take over. I don't know if you realize that, but legislative bodies only enact things for internal procedure, one session at a time. So that's important. The same thing impacts us legally as well. So it's important to know. So a motion is in order to approve particular directory as proposed and passed by the chapters on March 1st, 2025. Is there such a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? A second by Gilbert. It's open for discussion or motions. Are there any motions in the floor?
Can I make a counter motion that you extend the authority for a year?
Yeah, I think,
That's what you said in your letter was the plan.
yes, that is the plan. I was trying to let everybody know what I hope to do. But it's still within your province to do or not do that, I guess is my point. So you can make,
I can read it. Can you read it?
go ahead, Vicki, if you have a motion.
There. Motion to extend the particular directory commission to the next 2026 LPC, authorized to review, edit, amend, and change the proposed particular directory in accordance with feedback received from chapters on a reasonable basis, that by no later than November 1st, 2025, via Zoom meeting, inviting all LPC representatives to review the proposed particular directory as amended, and submitting upon approval of the particular directory commission to be submitted to the chapters for approval.
Second.
Second. That is on the floor. Okay, so are there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing no further discussion, is there objections to its passing? No, seeing no objections, this will pass.
Can you copy and paste that?
So, what that motion said in English, in English, is that it authorized the extension of the function of the motion for the commission for additional year. It authorizes the PD commission to work with the existing feedback and others that if you want to get to them, to change or amend the PD on a reasonable basis. In other words, if the suggestion or the feedback is reasonable, they change it. And then upon approval, and then hold a Zoom meeting with all LPC reps, and then to get further review, etc., and then upon approval of the commission, be sent out to the chapters for final approval. Once that occurs, go back to the chapters, you go through the same process you went through in February, report back to Alejandra, and upon its approval, if approved, it'll go to the provincial. Or no, back to LPC 2026. This is like a procedure. Okay, but this is in the current PD, so it goes there. Then, thereafter, it goes to the provincial, and upon his approval, it will be promulgated immediately and sent out to everybody. And that's when you can take out the old one and put the new one in place. Michael?
To make sure I'm getting the timeline correct, so there's a meeting in November, and then when do we think the document will be finalized for individual fraternities to vote?
It has, it'll be, so it has to be approved within 6 months of the close of the LPC. So it would be 2 months after, in other words, the first of the year. So today is the 18th, 19th, so we're looking at January 20, let's say.
So when is the, I just want to make sure that we have enough time, because for example, in Seattle, we do not meet in December, and so if there's a meeting in November on Zoom, that gives us a very short window.
Well, yeah, the motion says by November 1st.
Okay.
Okay. Calvin?
After the provincial approves it, does it not have to go to one and be approved there as well?
No, we looked that up and other, I guess, and made it clear, it says, even though our PD says that, the higher law says no.
We're gonna have to change our view.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at the general declaration, it covers that.
Yeah, very clear. Dave and then Frank.
Well, comment, to highlight something you said in your letter that I think might be helpful to the rest of you. As he said, there were many helpful comments and edits regarding this, and I will tell you, having served on the commission as well as on plenty of other drafting issues, I think the most helpful way for you to handle this at this point is through what we call red lines, because that if you give us that same document in Word and then propose red line changes, it makes it really easy for the committee to go yes, 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 no, no, yes, no. it may be a little more difficult for you to do that, but I guarantee it'll be easier. And I'm thinking too that, as I would anticipate this, that if, by the time this is presented in, before November 3rd, we will already have done that. And so the version you'll have will be a version that we approve. And then you would say, hey, you didn't accept my red line on this, and then, we can have further discussion on it. But I think as a practical matter, just logistically, if you can get us red lines, it would be helpful for you and for us to be able to resolve everything specifically.
Very good.
Is there a
David
date?
is a member of the commission, as well as Vicki and Brian and Father. Well, unofficially. And Nick. No, not Nick. That's it. One comment that is that the work that's being done, I'll come back after.
I just wanted to thank you for sending out the feedback with the letter, and I want to commend everybody, if you haven't read Michael Patina's feedback in particular. He does a very thorough review of what our proposed PD talks about, the progression from admission to final protection, and some of the inconsistencies and lack of clarifications that exist in our current proposed PD. It shows us the work that still needs to be done.
And that is precisely the discussion needs to be made at the commission. And those joining, thank you for doing that. The issue gets down to one thing that is not an issue. I consider it not an issue. That's important to keep in mind in your discussion, is that the use of the term fraternity and changing the terms is off the table. We're not going to entertain that. That's the way it is, and that's to conform the nature of the wording that is used at the order's level. By example, the term lay provincial council. There are councils. Here's the council. We are actually a lay provincial chapter. The chapter of the order is being done in Poland right now, in Krakow, and you are a chapter very similar. The chapter meeting at your local level is when you have a chapter every month, and you're having a fraternity chapter meeting. These are terms that are conforming to the use of those terms at the order level. So it just makes it a little easier, makes it even. We're going back to some of the terms such as pro-chapter or pro-fraternity when this PD passes. So be aware of the meaning of that. There's some good language used as to further definitions, and we'll expand those as well. But I just want to make it clear that some of the fundamental changes to language it's not on the table like this.
I have to say that some of us aren't necessarily fans of some of the terminology, but because it's in the rule, that's what we're going.
What happened was, I don't know how many realized it, in 2019 the master changed it. And I couldn't believe when I saw it. So we have to deal with the reality of where it is. So I invite you to take a look and just Google it and see the amendment. And the rule was changed from chapters to fraternity to the term fraternity. Do I necessarily agree with it? 2 years ago, I strongly agreed, but we have to come around to the rule where it's appropriate and where we have it. Where it's appropriate and reasonable. I don't think there's any force of law against it, but let's be accommodated the way it is right now. Now, what does that mean for you in your chapter level, using the term presently? That means I'm not going to come and hunt you down for using the term chapter. No one else is either. But the reality is, at some point, you have to conform the behavior to the standard by which you master it. That may take 2 or 3 years or 5, maybe never. But it's important that you realize when you use those terms, that we're using the ones that the master said, those are the ones we should use. But there's no force of law against it, I just want to make that clear. I've talked to a number of you, and I believe very heavily in human freedom. And I believe the current issues with regard to the liturgy boards is just the side of nonsense. contrary, then my view is we should follow along. Okay. Any questions about my comment? I just want to be very clear about that. Mary?
So, is it just my chapter that received nothing to show us what the changes were? Because we were presented with the particular directory and said, we need to vote on this, whether we approve or not. And without putting the two side by side, we would never have known, and our meeting would have been.
Well, the particular directory that was sent out the first part of this year, maybe late last year, I don't recall. My memory doesn't quite well. But that was the draft that was approved by this body last July. And had been worked and finalized by the PD, gotten rid of all the odd, not all of it, but a lot of the odd language and stuff. Vicki and their committee worked on that. Finalized it, and it was just kind of a practical review. It was up to the local chapter to dig out the old one, print it up, and sit and go side by side.
Oh.
And that's still the case. The new one that will be revised and sent out again, you take the old one and sit down with it.
That would make our meeting hours long.
We had a separate meeting for this.
Yeah.
We did it similarly.
Yeah, I think what David has suggested is that we'll do, including the final draft here, we'll have a red line. For those who have not used the red line, Word, the software Word, Microsoft Word, has a method by which you can interject changes, amendments, and comments off inside a sentence and off to the side, and we'll be using that, and it eases the process of amending. Michael?
There was a comment about when a fraternity wants to send changes to do the red line version. What is the date you would like that from us so that you have plenty of time to read over that and process it, finalize it before that, November 1st?
Vicki, yeah.
I don't know about the dates. I just wanted to be clear about this red line thing. What I understand that we're doing, we are giving back to the fraternities the copy of a particular directory that is redlined with this latest round of comments, of which everyone got a link in the letter that came out. So it does not go back to the original particular directory. The red line doesn't go back that far. It would be unintelligible. So it will be the particular directory version that everyone reacted to, plus the 5 or 6 comments that we got redlined in on top of that, if it's something that we could accept or that makes sense. So that's what you'll be able to review. If you're interested in going back to the original particular directory, that is a separate step on your own end.
On those red lines, are we gonna make that one single shared document that people can change, or is somebody gonna have to then take all those multiple red line documents and incorporate all those changes in before it goes back out? I would recommend one single file, because it'll capture everybody's changes, and you can see where other people are recommending possible changes or comments that they have, because it could be a nightmare to have somebody have to then go back and pull them all.
Well, that's what we're doing, and I'm a little worried about one single document, because that means it's gotta go from one chapter to the next, and to me, that's just, it's gonna be a time issue.
Well, you can share a document with multiple people, and
Correct.
they can make edits on top of other red lines. So instead of one party having to grab all these different red lines and incorporate them.
Well, let's back off to the side. I had it in mind.
Sorry, didn't let you want to.
No, dive in.
Here's how it worked last time. We received lots of feedback, and we went through in a rather lengthy, multiple committee meetings where we went through each of the proposed changes and then made those changes. My suggestion is we keep that process. So what you would do, what any of you would do, is you would submit to us your red lines, then we would look at those and decide whether we would accept them or not. That way, if we have just one document, we're going to be having conflicting red lines too. So I'll take your your proposal, we'll go yes, 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 no, 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 no. Take yours, and the same thing. We put it into a document which would, I think what Vicky's saying is approved red lines that we think you should look at, that we would present on November 1st. And so I think we could, if we got your red lines by October 1st, maybe that we can be able to meet and get a proposed red lines for you to consider.
Frank and then Sharon.
The document we're talking about redlining is the March 1st, 2025 version of PD, of the proposed PD.
That's why
You sent out to all the chapters for a vote.
Yeah.
That's the version we're talking about redlining.
Yes.
That's right.
That's correct, thank you.
So what if we just have one change on one particular page? Is it okay to make it a PDF and just send that one thing to you guys?
Let me, these questions, I just want to envision my view of it, and the commission can do what it wants, but we've received the feedback. We received it. And if you want to add to it, go for it, get it in. And then they're gonna go through, the commission itself is gonna go through the feedback and make the amendments. And then we'll open it, their draft, to discussion on Zoom. And it will be sent out before, in advance of that discussion. And then we'll go through, at that point, the whole document. That way we do not have to manage, 23 red lines. In fact, this is my view of what should happen.
In the interest of time, can we table discussion?
That's a form of a motion, that can be, but we don't have a lot of time. So if you want to make a motion, that's up to you. There are motions to table, are always in order.
Then move to vote on the motion.
Move to vote on the motion. Okay. Please call the question. Sorry, calling the question?
Yes.
Question is, shall the motion as stated pass? Yes or no? All those in favor say aye.
Is that motion?
The motion she said?
Yes, the motion as stated by Vicky. So the motion as stated by Vicky, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. It passes. Logan, did you have a question? I didn't know.
Oh, it was that long thing she read.
Oh, yeah. You want me to restate it?
No.
Braylon?
Sorry.
If that's fine.
Let me know.
Okay. Well, let me go back. Great question. This is, okay, tell me, I will
No,
defer.
I think we're fine. I think we're fine.
We're good.
No, I'm talking about Franklin's question.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Yeah. Franklin's question is, when should they submit the red line? And I want to be very clear about my view on it. However, I will defer to the commission. My view is we have your comments. You made comments. I submitted them, fed back to you. If you have any changes, get them in as quickly as possible, as soon as possible. And if you want to work something out separately with Vicki, you contact her. But then and then the committee will sit down and go through one at a time through the comments that have already been made or may be joined with it later. And then we'll have a Zoom meeting where there's one document and we go through it and make the adjustments. Do not ask them do not include your comments about use of certain words that have been amended. They're not going to be considered, okay? So that's what my view. However, I'm not getting control. Talk to Vicki otherwise. I'm sorry.
Can I make a motion that they have 30 days to get any further comments, so they can shut it down?
Yeah,
And then,
I think even if you want to extend that further, I think it's control. Just 30 days, 60.
Yeah.
60. So moved. No second. Calvin second. Any objections? 60 days then it is to, let's say, September 20th to get any comments in further. Don't duplicate them based upon what's already been said. The reason gonna do, Sharon?
I just have to ask you a question. I know that you said that you, gave a deadline for the first comments to be in by February. Did you receive any comments that came after February?
Yes, you received them in my email the other day.
Yeah, and so those will
Yeah.
be incorporated, so they don't need to be resubmitted again.
No, but
Got it.
I just wanna make it clear, the committee is gonna review all that.
Okay, that's what I'm
So
saying.
that's why I'm saying no duplicate.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So we have 60 days.
Well, who made that recommendation?
Right, thank you, Frank.
60 days sounds nice, but the last day of September is easier to remember.
Yeah.
Any objections to that?
We'll make another-
But it gives them less time.
September 30th, it gives you that time to submit.
That's fine.
review for amendment.
So what, all right, you have to set up the whole timeline, or else, we're gonna lose things.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll put it on the whiteboard. It's not. Oh, there it is. I'll put it on the whiteboard, and then you can come take a picture of it right now, okay? Based upon what we talked about.
I have a question, all right, so we have the next provincial, chapter in July 2026. Do we need 2/3 of the chapter voting on it before we discuss reforming further?
Yes.
Yes.
So we need 2/3 of the chapters, and the 2/3 of the chapters need to vote by 30 days before,
They have to vote by the 20th of January.
20th of January.
The current PD.
So 20th of January, and so then, you need to get all of those votes in by 20th of January. That means that you need to give the chapters, 3 months in order to vote on this?
If we get it submitted to them by November 1st, then they'll have November, December, and January.
You might not have January, because January 20th doesn't include the people who are on the fourth Sunday of January. Right? So you probably have to get them by October, right?
Yeah, I think,
So probably then, it would be the beginning of September you would want to get all the feedback back.
what we could do is suspend the rules and allow an extension of the deadline to February 1st. If there is no objection to that, we can extend it to February 1st. Is that okay? No move. One second. No objection. Okay, so that's very helpful. That's good comments. The other thing that we're going to do I'm going to put on the agenda, at least as long as I'm around here, is proposed amendments to the LPC. This should be an ongoing process instead of looking at it every 24 years. It should be looked at on ongoing basis. If there's some really good eyes out there looking at this stuff, why not use it instead of it being on a big, huge project? Frank?
We could have a formation committee.
We have a formation. You're talking
We have
about
a formation commission. We could have a formation committee under the new revised PD.
It's really about the particular director.
all we're doing is looking at particular directory. The committee as a whole, as you talked about, is a particular directory committee every year. Appreciate the comment, but committee, anyway, that it gives honor when you have too much swinging around. And at this stage, we're just not that big. But, it's going to evolve into that. And then there was Logan and then Mary.
I just wanted to clarify that the reason we're moving to this new model where we continually amend is due to the fact that we don't have to send it to Ralph. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just checked.
And part of it is the reality that we have talent flowing through the LPC and leaving. It gives them the opportunity when it's on the agenda to think through things through. And let's use it when we have it. Mary.
So please clarify what the dates are for.
Yes, I'll do that. I'll put it on the board straight away once
Okay.
we're done here. And then just before Matt can start.
So we only moved and approved to have a deadline for September 20th.
That's been amended to
So we didn't
September
move
30th.
it. We should be.
We-
We'll
We did move, and it was, it was
We just
extended.
said end of September, that's what we said.
Yeah, so that's September first.
Okay,
We moved
change
it.
it to December.
Yeah.
We
Sorry?
moved to extend the deadline to February first for voting. I second that.
Well, the deadline for getting comments in was also, so we'll do that. I'll put it up on the board. And then if I made a mistake, you can come and have it done. Any other questions? I know this process is somewhat confusing, but I'll try to clarify it up there. I just want to get it done, and sometimes I don't want to leave anybody behind. So please come talk to me. Because we want to get the substance in, not necessarily the procedure that's been way out there. So that's where we are. Thank you for your patience, everybody. All right, let's take a recess. It is 3:30. Oh, one last business is review of Green Valley. Green Valley is, long history is, it's been a chapter in formation since 2014. I visited with Denise back in 2015, and it was a mess, but they had lots of people coming, and it just stumbled along for years, and they haven't had meetings for a long time. They're meeting more like a Bible study now anyway. It's not really doing anything. I don't want to get a huge discussion, but I think at this point, we need to take them off the list. Yeah, they're no longer chapter information, just by the way they're coming. We've made contact with them, we've tried to work this through, we've spent quite a bit on it. And Paula's been there a couple times, just as not working. And Green Valley is a small town in the south of Tucson, Arizona. And, you know, and I know Gilbert has been at it too, and he's in the Tucson chapter. Just really, without going into long history and taking additional time, it's just important that we stay with those who are working at it. And it's been 10 years. Well, yeah, we're going to let it go. Is there any objection about that? Any observations or questions? I want to make sure that people know about it and where we're going. No.
Just a clarification from Father, did you mean that we don't need to have a movement? Okay, cool.
Thank you so much. So, what we're taking.
I have a
sorry.
Having been involved in the community that resolved itself, but they were notified that probably they were running the same case as you're talking about Green Valley. But it was probably a little more dignified to do that. I don't know if that's appropriate here at this point.
Not right now, they just only did.
Okay.
I just want to recognize that fact. The other now what we're going to do, let's take a quick 5-minute break.
This is the end of the video. Join us for the next video. Please visit us at dominicanidaho.org. Visit us on shop online at stdominicstore.com. Thank you. Thank you for watching. This is for a video for the next part. See you in the next video.